Good afternoon, everyone. This is Robert at the Amateur Trader. Today is Saturday, June 8th, 2019, and today I wanted to work on building my watch list for Monday, June 10th. Although this is a watch list for Monday, June 10th, just kind of keep in mind that these stocks could make their moves later on the week. They're not just specific for that day, but they're definitely going to be stocks that I'm watching on Monday. Also remember that this is a watch list. This isn't a recommendation to buy or sell. This is not a guarantee of anything. Last week I made some calls on the watch list, and I think only one or two of them actually played out the way that I had thought that they were going to play out. But the key word is watch list. It's something that we're going to watch, and the watch list is going to change every day because stocks are going to change. Stocks are going to go different directions, and the scans are going to pick up different things every day, every minute of every day. And so just remember that things change, and this is not a for sure thing. This is not set in stone. All right, so all of these stocks in my watch list come off of my scanners. I have a scanner on my based off my strategy for going long, going short. One of the first that I want to look at is KMI, Kinder Morgan. Kinder Morgan's been kind of running sideways. If you zoom in on the 6-month chart, you can see the movement a little bit better. But you can see here that this green line, the DEMA line, is above our middle Bollinger Band line, which is what we're looking for. And it's been that way for a little while now. And one of the other criteria, and this is kind of a flexible criteria as far as my strategy goes, is the price is at or above the Bollinger Band line, the top Bollinger Band line. So, back in here, this would have been considered a buy, but it kind of dropped back down. But the middle band and my DEMA line kind of acted as a support to it, and now our price is above the green DEMA line and at or above the top Bollinger Band. Also, if you notice down here on our MACD, the blue line is pulling away from the white line. It's gaining momentum upward. The candlesticks are getting longer and are the bright green. The RSI right now is at a 71, which is overbought. But if you remember, just because the RSI is overbought or oversold doesn't mean that the price is going to drop and turn around or fall away right away. Honestly, what I would expect out of this, because so far we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days that were green straight up, I would expect a pullback. I would not expect it to go any lower than our DEMA line, probably definitely not any lower than the middle Bollinger Band line. But remember that just because the RSI is showing that it's oversold, that can go oversold or overbought for days before the price actually changes direction. All right, so this is the first stock on my list that we're going to keep an eye on for Monday or next week. Remember, if this doesn't play out Monday, we're going to see what it does Monday. If that price falls down and bounces off of our support lines, our DEMA line, then that's always the potential for an entry. Like I said, don't just run out and jump in and buy this Monday morning because somebody put it on a watch list. All right. Next on our list is MRVL. Had a 36-cent move up, 1.5% move up on Friday. So if you look over the last 6 months, it trended slowly up, and then it had a pretty good uptrend, and then it's pulling back down. And what I would expect is for this trend to continue up or at least get back up to this 25.75 price range up here where it stopped and came back down, because that will act sort of as a resistance. There's a good possibility that it's going to continue on past that, but I would expect it to move to at least that point before going back down. Remember, everything's not going to go up for forever, so we have this little pullback, and it kind of came back, and I've actually got this line drawn on here that shows a resistance point. It was a past resistance point. It broke out of it and it came back down, and then it bounced almost right off of that line, and now it's going back up. So we can put another line somewhere up here. The exact price doesn't necessarily matter, because we don't really know what the true resistance on it is yet. It hasn't hit any spot twice. I mean, if you wanted to zoom in and get really technical, I mean, right here at where are we at? 25.48, 25.50. That's probably a better resistance point. And what you need to do there is just keep an eye on your on how your stock is behaving, especially if you're in the trade, keep an eye on how it's behaving. What puts this on my watch list here is the DEMA cross below the middle Bollinger Band back here, and it started to trend kind of down. Bounced off this bottom band. Here we go. We got the DEMA crossing above the middle Bollinger Band line. The price is at or above the top Bollinger Band line. Our blue MACD line is above and pulling away from the white line on the MACD. The candles are green, and the RSI is at 61, almost 61, which is above which is above 50, which is the threshold. If it's not above 50, I don't consider it a strong uptrend. So the RSI needs to be above 50, and really almost the higher it is, unless you get into 80, 90, then you're really looking overextended at that point. But everything on this is looking good for a run up to get another $1.50, $1.75 out of this stock, and then it has the potential to continue going on after that. Next, we're going to look at Dish. Oops. So Dish has been trending up for the last 5 months. We'll zoom in so you can see the candles a little bit better here, but the band's kind of narrowed here. Our green DEMA line got close to and touched the Bollinger Band line, the middle Bollinger Band line, and then it took off again. And as it started to take off, the price started hitting this top Bollinger Band line, and now this DEMA line is acting as a support, and it's keeping it up here. From the close here, we had a close at 37. What's our close? 37.10. The high for this was already $1.40, almost $1.40, $1.37 higher than what the close was on this. So this has the potential to go higher. Yes, the wick on the candle means that it got pushed back, but this definitely has the potential to go higher. Our blue band, or our blue line on our MACD, is pulling away from the white line. The candles are getting longer, and they're still the bright green, and our RSI is at 62. It's great. This is perfect for a move upwards. Again, this is just a watch, but this is definitely something to keep an eye on. And to be honest, any of the stocks in the watch list, or I say most of the stocks in the watch list, are something to keep an eye on. We'll bring up this one here. One that, just because it's on the watch list, though, doesn't mean, or on the scan, the watch list from the scan, doesn't mean that it's something worth looking into. Look at LJPC here. Had a couple of big days. We went from around 550 up to 13, almost $14 in a matter of 2 days. And with that big of a move on such a small, such a low price stock, odds are it's probably not going to go a lot higher. And if you were to come back, let's zoom out a little bit, let's go to the 1 year. If you were to come back over to here, you can see that where it first started dropping back here, we're already at that point where it first really started making its downtrend. And so that's probably going to act as a resistance right there. All right, so this is just because it's on the watch list, on my scan watch list, doesn't mean that it's something that's necessarily worth looking at. Again, BSX, this was good. I believe I called this one out on my watch list last week. I don't remember. I know that this was one that I traded within the last week and a half, and I got out because the price was going sideways, and wasn't going to wait around to see if it took a turn for the worst on it. I just took my profit and walked away. But as you can see from over the last month and a half, we're up, $7. And this has been running up. It's on the watch list. Everything looks good, right? But it's had a couple of days of hard up, so I would expect to pull back. And it doesn't mean it's coming off the watch list, but I would expect to pull back and then to get a better entry on it. All right. NEM I did call out last week on my watch list video. I think it was the only bullish stock that I called out. And since that call out, I forget the exact the exact price, and I didn't write it down, but it was somewhere in the $33 range, I believe. Let's see if we go back to, yeah, we'd be right around $33, and it's gone up, $2 since then. So you can see how, since I made the call out on this, even though the call out came a couple days after, this green line crossing over this blue line really does tend to help act as a support line and kind of keep the momentum of the stock going upward. I expect it maybe to pull back now. I've got all these resistance lines drawn on here from last week. Why I have so many, I'm not sure, but I would expect a little bit of a pullback, and who knows, maybe this thing's going to keep going. But you can, with this chart here, you can see how all of these indicators played together with the way that the price moves, or with the way that the RSI was, the MACD, the way that how the DEMA line acts as a support. It just shows that momentum in the direction that you're looking for it to go. All right, on the short side, we're looking at NRZ. This was doing some sideways movement. It had a big drop down. It came back up and it hit this DEMA line, and it started to come back down. Now the price is below the bottom Bollinger band line. The DEMA line is below the middle Bollinger band line, and you can see our candles here started to get dark red and shorter. That means our momentum, our selling momentum, was dying off, and there was more buying coming in, and you can see that on the candles based on the fact that the candles were green and going up. Now don't let that mislead you either. You can quite often see candles turn green, price candles turn green, and the MACD momentum candles will still show that there's significant selling or buying, depending on which way you're going. It's still gonna show significant selling or buying. So now we've got the selling starting to die off. There's more and more buying coming in, but then we have this red candle right here. Price is below the Bollinger Band line. The price touched this DEMA line, which acted as a resistance, pushed it back down. I would expect for this to continue back down, and I mean, we could see down into the $13 range, right around $14 on this, on the short side. A lot of it's going to depend on the market reaction with the tariffs, and how the actual market actually reacts to the tariffs, and a lot of this is going to just depend on the market itself. So always use the market, the Dow, the S&P, as kind of indicators into the actual direction as that the market as a whole is going. And not every stock is going to follow those either, but they act as a good indicator. But like I said, I would expect this to continue down just based on the momentum of it. All right, GES, Guess Inc. Been trending down here for about a month. You can see where our green DEMA line crossed under the Bollinger Band line, and has been acting as a pretty good resistance point all the way down. The candles on the MACD are staying about the same length, with the exception of Friday, and it's still showing significant or more selling pressure. The blue line is below the white line, and it's pulling away, which is indicating the selling pressure. I would expect maybe the price to go up from where it was, or where it closed on Friday a little bit. Maybe get a better entry to short it at, but I would still be expecting this to go down. The RSI, we're down here at the 21, 22 range, so it's definitely oversold. But like I said, you can watch this continue. The price can continue down, and this RSI is going to stay down here, and it won't be until several days later that you'll see the RSI kind of catch up with everything. So, and remember, these are just indicators to help you make the decision to get in, but I would expect this to continue going down just based on the general direction of the stock. And if we were to zoom out, let's go out to a year. We don't even have a bottom, not as far back as a year. And the further away you get, the less relevant it becomes. I mean, we got to go to get back to where it is now. We're going all the way back to, what is this? April of 2018. March of 2018. The last time that this stock was this low in price. So it's been over a year since the stock was this low in price. So we don't really know how low it's going to go. All right, guys. Next, on the short side, PVTL. I've already played this one. I played this in the middle of the week when it had this gap down. I played it off of the gap, and I actually day traded it. I don't normally day trade, but just to lock in the profits, I wanted to go ahead and get my money out of it. If you look at gap downs as a whole, a lot of times you'll see, I mean, gaps can go either way. You can see the price gap down and then immediately pull back up. You can see a gap down and run down for a couple days, then run sideways, continue up. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different scenarios that can play out, which is why I took the profit at this. It made it down to 10.10, and then it started to pull back, and I took my money out of it because I was unsure what it was going to do the next day. And as you can see, the next day it didn't do anything. It had a range from the highs and the lows of 75 cents. Friday it had a range of only 52 cents. And what you can get out of this is, even though this is a green candle, it's a small doji candle, it means there's a lot of indecision, but our MACD is showing the selling pressure. Our blue MACD line is a long ways away from the white line, and the candles are just getting longer. I would expect for this to continue to go down even more over the next few days. And again, let's go out to a year. We're at a year. Let's go out to 3 years. Even at 3 years, we really don't have a bottom for what the stock price can go. I mean, this thing could go all the way to zero. It could be the next penny stock. Who knows? So, but like I said, I would expect this to continue in a downward trend for a few days before going back up, if it goes back up at all. One more, guys. ACOR. This has been in a steady downtrend for the last 6 months. Don't let me draw no lines. Had its little bounce, went above the Bollinger Band line, the middle Bollinger Band line, and kept coming back down. It's below the DEMA line. The price is below the lower Bollinger Band line. Candles are getting longer and staying bright red. The blue line's pulling away from the white line on the MACD, and the RSI is oversold. I would expect for this to continue down. It might pull back to the DEMA line. You know, we might get a pullback to $8 to $8.50, somewhere in that neighborhood, but I would expect it to continue down. Let's go back to 3 years. The price of this stock has never been as low in the last 3 years. It has not been as low as it is now. So we don't have anything to use as a bottom on this. And again, the further out it is, the less relevant it becomes. So I would expect this to continue down as well. That's it, guys. Oh, you know what? I wanted to show this too. I played ANF, made a video on my 2-day swing trade on this last week, and I got out on the 3rd day after this gap down, and this kind of goes into the PVTL gap down. The price gap down, it continued down, it leveled out. This is where I sold it on the 31st of last month, and you can see the price just kind of went sideways, and then it's gone down another $2 since I've sold it. So this is how, if you remember on that video, and I think on the watch list I mentioned it for last week too, so that gaps tend to continue. They don't always, but gaps tend to continue in the direction of the gap, particularly if the trend is moving in that direction as well. And you can see that this has been trending down for a month. Now, does that make it like a confirmed trend? Most of the time people like to look for trends for a significant period of time, you know, several months, but this has been steadily trending down, and everything's shown that it's trended down. The MACD has shown it's trending down, the RSI has shown it's trending down, the Bollinger Band lines have shown it trending down, the DEMA line, everything has shown this trending down. So it's making its downtrend, and then it gapped down and it just continued to trend down. So this was a play. I mean, I could have made an extra $2 a share that I was short on this, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. I didn't, but I did want to show you guys this because of the PVTL gap down. I mean, they look pretty similar. The only difference is that PVTL was kind of just trending sideways for the month before it had this gap down. Doesn't mean that the same thing is going to happen, but it's definitely something to consider. It's definitely something that I am going to continue watching for downward price action this week. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you found it informational. And remember, this is just a watch list. It doesn't mean run out and buy any of these next week. I could be 100% completely wrong on this. But based on the strategy that we've been practicing, this is what I see happening for the next week. And I am working on and will be getting out a video on how our strategy works and what to look for and how to set up your scanners on it in the near future. I will get it out to you guys as soon as I can. But this is it for my watch list. I will try to get a couple of other watch list videos out this week, time permitting. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like it, share it, make sure to subscribe so you can get all the upcoming videos. Guys, enjoy your weekend and have a good week this week trading. Hope you're successful. We'll see you next time.